Manager versus leader. We hear these words thrown around all the time, sometimes like they're the exact same thing. But are they? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to dive deep into why they're not. And trust me, understanding this difference can totally change the way you look at your job, your boss, and your own career path. So let's get right to it. What is the real difference? Is it just about having a fancier title on your email signature? Is it about being a certain type of person, loud and charismatic? Or is it something deeper, something about the very source of your influence? Let's find out. All right, first up, let's step into the world of the manager. Think of this as the land of organization, of structure, of clear-cut roles. Management is really the architecture. It's the blueprint for how a team gets things done. Now, check this out. There was this researcher, Meredith Belbin, who did something fascinating. He created what he called Apollo teams, and he stacked them with the absolute smartest, most brilliant people he could find. And you know what happened? They almost always failed. It turns out building a winning team isn't about getting a room full of superstars. It's about having the right balance of different roles. And here are some of those critical roles he identified. You absolutely need a coordinator to keep meetings on track. You need a plant, that's the person who comes up with those wild, out-of-the-box ideas. Then you need a monitor-evaluator to poke holes in those ideas and see if they'll actually work. You need a shaper to push the team and keep the energy up, and a team worker to make sure everyone's getting along. A manager's job really is to be the conductor of this orchestra. But management isn't just about the people, it's also about the system itself. It's all about the how. How do we organize our departments? How do we structure our teams so they can actually be effective? And that brings us to the formal org chart. For instance, have a look at these two classic ways to structure a team. On the left, you've got the functional format. That's where you group people by their skills. All the engineers are together, all the marketers are together. On the right, you have the project format, where you pull people from different departments to work on one specific goal. Both are management decisions, focused on organizing for pure efficiency. Okay, so we've got it. Management is about structure, roles, and organization. But what happens when you need to do more than just manage a process? What happens when you need to inspire people to do their best work? Well, that's where leadership enters the picture. We're about to shift from the how to the who and explore influence and authority. And this, right here, is the key. While a manager gets their title from the company, a leader's influence can come from a totally different place. The most important question for a leader is this: where does your power really come from? Because you see, there are two fundamentally different sources. The first source is what we call position power. This is power that's literally handed to you because of your job title. It's written right there on the org chart. Your role as manager or director is what gives you this authority. You don't earn it on your own, it's granted to you by the organization. And this position power shows up in a few different ways. You've got coercive power, the ability to punish someone. You have reward power, the ability to give out bonuses or promotions. There's legitimate power, which is just the authority your title gives you. And there's connection power, being able to get things done because of who you know. These are the classic tools in a manager's toolbox. But then you've got the other side of the coin, personal power. And this kind of influence has absolutely nothing to do with your job title. It comes from who you are as a person, what you know, your skills, your personality, your charisma. This kind of power isn't given to you. It has to be earned, day in and day out. So where does this personal power come from? Well, there's expert power. That's when you're so good at what you do that people naturally seek you out. There's information power, when you have access to knowledge that everyone else needs. And then there's referent power. That's just pure charisma. People are drawn to you, they admire you, and they want to follow you. Okay, so now we can bring this all home. The single biggest, most fundamental difference between management and leadership, it all boils down to this clash between position power and personal power. Just look at this side by side. On the left, you've got the tools of management, all tied to the structure of the company. On the right, the tools of leadership, all rooted in the individual. Here's the bottom line. A manager can force you to comply because of their position, but a leader inspires your commitment because of their personal influence. You can definitely be a manager without being a leader, and, maybe even more interestingly, you can be a leader without having any formal management title at all. But look, having power is one thing. Knowing how to actually use it, that's a whole other ballgame, and that's why it's so important to touch on the different styles of leadership. This simple grid is a great way to think about it. On one axis, are you an autocrat who makes all the decisions, or a Democrat who gets the team involved? And on the other, are you directive, giving very clear instructions, or are you more permissive, giving your team a lot of freedom? The really great leaders, they know how to move around this grid depending on what the situation calls for. And one last piece of the puzzle is your focus. Are you laser focused on the task at hand, or are you more focused on the people and the relationships within the team? And here's the thing, neither one is better. A new team with a tough project might need a very task-oriented leader. But as that team grows and gets more experienced, a leader who focuses on people can build the trust that leads to amazing results. So, as we wrap up, here's the question to think about for yourself. What are you focused on? Are you trying to climb the ladder to get more position power? Or are you working on building that personal power, that influence that makes people want to join you on your mission? The most effective people I've ever seen don't choose one or the other. They understand that true, lasting impact comes from mastering both. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.